Welcome back to Amazin But True, our New York Mets podcast from the New York Post. I'm your host, Jake Brown, alongside my co-host, Nelson Figueroa. Follow us on Twitter at Jake Brown Radio, at FiggyNY. Follow the pod at Amazin But True, and watch us on the New York Post Sports YouTube page. Find that Amazin But True playlist. Give us a thumbs up below and comment your thoughts on the Mets, who took 3 out of 4 over the St. Louis Cardinals, who are somehow worse than the Mets. Like, it's funny to me. Like, you look at the race going to Sunday, like, holy cow, the Mets are 6 games out of the playoffs, ahead of the New York Yankees, who are further back from the playoffs than the Mets. What bizarre world are we in? People would argue with me, oh, the Yankees are playing minor leaguers too, but they didn't sell. The Mets sold the whole team. So that's the big difference there. But again, the Mets sent us back to reality Sunday, back to live, back to reality.
They won 3 out of 4. What do you mean?
Yeah, and got smashed Sunday because of a trade that they somehow found a way to lose again with Billy Apple or Trevor Gott. I mean, oh my God, he sucks. Trevor Gott is terrible.
See, what happened was he had about 9 games in a row, scoreless, feeling good, throwing the ball well, and you thought, okay, maybe they fixed something. No, not just yet.
He is so...
He got.
I mean, yeah, great. I mean, a lot of those outings weren't any high pressure spot. I mean, no spot is high pressure right now in this team, but in terms of in-game scenario, I feel like Gott was coming in a lot of favorable situations. This one not as favorable. He absolutely implodes. Coming up in a bit on the show, we are glad to be joined by the Todd Father. The Podfather and Todd Father finally meet. You faced Todd Frazier, right, in your career? Do you remember his numbers versus him and Hearts? Can you look up? No, wait.
I looked it up. It's none. I don't have an at bat. He doesn't have an at bat against me.
Oh, okay. Not even in the minors. Huh?
He was ducking me the whole time.
Never faced him in AAA.
No, I thought I would have. I thought I would have. Majors, minors. I was in the Central for a minute too.
Minors would make more sense because he didn't play till he was 26, so he was probably in the minors for a while, I'd imagine, right? 6 years or so.
Yeah, but remember, how old is he and how old am I?
You're 74. He's 37, so it's about like a 30-year gap.
I'm literally 12 years older than him. So. Yeah, so I didn't realize he was that young. I was at 37 still trying to freaking hang on and keep playing. But nowadays you see guys younger and younger, and you don't realize Josh Tolley was only 34 when he had to hang it up. I was like, oh my gosh, these guys, they're getting younger because the game is getting younger. You got more guys 21, 22 coming to the big leagues and staying.
I might call you Nelson Figga-Father. I like that. Figure father of Todd Frazier, who's calling the Little League World Series and teaming up with Lance Sandwich Crockers. I don't know why I just said sandwich, but I like it that way. So the Todd Father will join us here in a few minutes. But yes, the Mets win 3 out of 4 over the Cardinals. And once again, Kodai Senga continues to be a bright spot for this team. And he's at least one, like, for sure in the rotation. We assume Quintana's the other for sure, who has also been good for them. One guy who's not a for sure Figgy is Carlos Carrasco. And at this point, if you're looking towards next year and you're thinking about 2024, you would think Carrasco's spot is good. I mean, Joey Lucchesi looked good, and he'll probably take a spot. There's spots for everyone. So
yeah,
without how bad McGill's been for the most part, McGill might get bounced. Peterson's going to stay. He could be a part of next year potentially. Lucchesi might get spots, but Vasil, can we get the correct? I feel bad. I can't say his name. Hearts, can you look up Mike Vasil, his pronunciation? But he's pitched well in AAA, Figgy, and I figure September we see some of these, arms, the limited amount there are, over Cookie at this point, because Cookie's just not giving you enough innings. He was always known as an innings eater. 4 innings, 3 runs on Sunday, 9 hits. The problem is he puts so many guys on the bases that he can't get through even the 5th inning. That at this point, if you're seeing the young guys, it might be time to put put the Vasil in there, put a couple flowers in the Vasil and call it a day.
Yeah, there's not too many guys that are deserving of a call up. Well, it's always about a look-see at this point, right? Once you feel like you're mathematically eliminated and you have no shot, of course, it's then Carrasco probably most likely will not be signed back. His contract was up anyway. I think there was an option involved, but I don't believe they're going to exercise that option. Two bright spots, of course. Senga continues to pitch well, and it was amazing to watch him throughout that game because it looked like he was in cruise control. He wasn't trying to overthrow. He wasn't trying to hit 97, 98 miles an hour. He was throwing balls at 95 by people. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, 95 is still pretty hard. But for a guy who normally rears back and throws a lot of the ghost fork balls, he didn't really break them out until third time through the lineup, where he was just toying with this Cardinals lineup. And they could not, they were making futile attempts at it. Contreras had a swing where they showed the replay, and he was literally 3 feet north of the ball and 3 feet west of the ball. He wasn't even close to where the ball was. It was pretty impressive the way the fork ball just dropped off the table, and he wasn't even throwing a lot of those. So remember, he had 107 pitches the time before. They gave him the extra day. They brought up Lucchesi to give him an opportunity. Lucchesi took advantage of that opportunity and pitched lights out. They were talking during the broadcast that, maybe Senga noticed some things with Lucchesi, the way that he was pitching, and Quintana, the way they were not overpowering fastballs, because these guys are probably a good fastball hitting team. And he just continued to mix it up, threw a bunch of cutters in there. He was like 91 to 93, and then all of a sudden broke out the forkball third time through the lineup and just toying with them. And it was a masterful performance, and he just looked like he was bored out there. On the other side of the ball, the offense was doing really, really well. DJ Stewart has found a power stroke from somewhere, even got robbed of a home run yesterday. Is he someone I think is moving forward? No, but while these guys are here and you trying to win games, he's at least been, one of the positives of hitting the ball hard. We saw a Vogelbach grand slam. It's always, I get a buddy of mine text me all the time, and we'll go nuts. I got MVP vote for Vogie just with that one swing. Hard to watch on a daily basis because he struck out, I think, 7 times in the series besides a home run. Pete Alonso, wow, absolutely smashing balls. However, of which there's one ball we have to talk about with Pete Alonso.
That was a jerk move by Pete Alonso. I'm sorry.
It wasn't on purpose. There's no way it was on purpose. There's no way. Listen, we've done it. We've done it as a joke to guys.
Of all the times, Figgy, that they throw the ball into the crowd and that far and that, that much force. The one time the guy's first big league hit, a little shady to me, a little suspect.
Listen, I don't know if he didn't realize the moment. I get it. They did a standing ovation. You figured you'd be aware with a standing ovation, but it might have been his first time at home, he was thinking. Well, if you look up at the scoreboard and it says 000 for his average, you should, again, click to another level. Okay, wow, he hasn't gotten a hit yet. Maybe, he got called up on the road. A lot of guys used to get called up on the road because it was easier to deal with the road. You didn't have to impress the fans, then you got some reps and then you came back home and you were able to, click on all cylinders in front of the home fans. So they used to do it that way. But I don't know what he was thinking. All I know is that he was upset that, it was a little dribbler that went down the line and he thought, they could get him, and they didn't. And he just was on one knee and got up and flipped the ball 25 rows up.
Well, they thought, was he thinking to throw to the family? But there's no way he would know exactly where the family was, although it was in that section. So that's why I was like, wait a second, did the family catch that? And some, random white woman caught it in St. Louis. But I mean, that it was close. So that's why. And by the way, it's Vassal. Mike Vassal is the pronunciation. Language of origin, please. Can you use it in a sentence? It makes sense. We're talking Little League World Series later. But I still, I don't know. And then giving a signed bat. What if he didn't want your autograph? I mean, I'm sure he'll take the Don Julio. But I don't know. What if he didn't want your signed bat? So I don't know. I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, it was. It'll be funny in the history of Mason Wynn, as long as, it's not the highlight of his career. But young man, talented, strong arm. We knew that a few years ago when he threw 100 miles an hour across the diamond from shortstop, and everybody raved about it.
Almost too strong of an arm. Like, he threw it home yesterday. It was like a laser beam.
Yeah, and it was high, and what the accuracy has to be where that ball's down and the catcher can crouch and kind of block the plate at the same time as catching it to try and get a guy. But that was a play by Ortega, hustling the whole way, head down, just never stopping. And we heard the booth rave about Joey Cora. and Joey Cora, the way he coaches third base, very much like the old school of like a Ron Washington, where it's very dramatic arm movements, body movements. He'll lay down on the ground to make sure you slide and all these kinds of things. But that's an important factor because on the other side of it, and I'll make my Yankee reference of the week. Remember when Stanton got thrown out at home by a mile and everybody's like, oh my God, this guy can't run and he doesn't care and he didn't even try. We went back and watched that video and I kept telling the guys, there's a reason why he was running that way. There's a reason why. There's a reason. And then I watched our old friend, Luis Rojas, is coaching third base. And if you watch Luis Rojas's reaction to the ball hitting the right center field gap that the center fielder did an unbelievable job to get to and get to it on one hop, Luis Rojas is walking very patiently, swinging his left arm around slowly, like, you got this, you're scoring, it's okay. But never was that, hey, get it going kind of thing for him to really start running. And he got thrown out. And you saw how surprised he was because Rojas's reaction to, or Rojas's signals were more of like, you're in, easy, you're fine. And, Stanton gets thrown out and everybody gets all over Stanton. Meanwhile, you look at it and it was Rojas's fault for not letting him know that, hey, move it.
Listen, I feel like Luis Rojas, maybe Baywatch would be better for him. If life is in slow motion, let's have Luis Rojas be a part of Baywatch. Put him in. I don't know if Luis Rojas got that body for Baywatch, but I mean, whatever Luis Rojas touches, he is the opposite of the Midas touch. Whatever he does,
the mush
goes wrong. Whether it's third base, managing, let's put him in the Mr. Met costume. Hopefully, he doesn't tear his ACL. One of those things. Miss Met was going viral over the weekend because they were saying, big old butt, but people don't realize. I don't think a lot of people realize that is padding, and I confirmed it with their handler, Miss the other night at the game. I was like, this thing's blowing up. Like, that is all padding because I know the girl who's in it. I'm like, I don't think that's not. Anyways, I don't know if you
natural.
Saw,
you're gonna say
that tweeted the picture, and the quote teats were going crazy about. Damn, Miss Med's got a fatty, and everyone's saying that. And I'm like, it is padding. It is all padding. So,
dude, it's a costume. Cut it out. What are we thinking here?
The quote, it was insane how viral this picture of Miss Met went. And I was 3 seats over when that picture was taken. It was the food day. It was the picture, I think, from the food on the table. And it's just her and Mr. Met. I'm like, anyways, that's an aside, but it did go viral. So I just want to confirm padding, not natural peach. Anyway.
It's not a BBL.
No, Miss Met did not have BBL. Yeah, Steve Cohen budget. You might have thought maybe he put money into Miss Met BBL as well. But that I cannot confirm. But I can confirm it is padding. So for the people who say, I'm trying to take Miss Met away from Mr. Met, just know objects in the mirror may be closer than they appear. I don't know what that saying is.
I don't know why you went there with that one.
Mirage. I don't know. I was at the Brooklyn Mirage over the weekend. Anyway, Jake Brown, Nelson Figueroa, Amazin But True. Todd Frazier will join us. Good morning, everybody. Have a cup of coffee today. Haven't had mine yet. The Mets will take on the Braves this week as they are sent back to reality. That's the thing with this weekend. Like, don't put much stock in it. You still have the same bad starting pitching, bad bullpen. And that's the thing is like, man, Carlos Carrasco, great guy. We love him. But this team is going to be tough to watch here. And still no Ronnie Mauricio. The date has passed. He has joined the 2020 club in terms of home runs and stolen bases. At this point, it just seems like September. And then if it's not September and he's not traded, then what the hell happened this year? Like if he's not up in September, there's something behind the scenes that is happening. And we'll see what happens in the offseason with the Mets and Pete Alonso. What happens with him? Will he get traded in the offseason? We'll find out at some point. The offseason.
Trying hard.
That'll be interesting to watch for here in the coming months. And the Mets Figgy, Starling Marte, second opinion is pulled groin. Shocked if he plays again this season. At this point, it's about the young guys. Yeah, they're 7 out. They're not all the way out yet, but they have the Angels coming to town. That'll be a tough series. They got the Braves this week. So tough games ahead. But, what are you watching for here? It was an encouraging weekend because Alonso's at 39. The bats came alive. Senga was great. Lucchesi was great, and it's good to see him pitch well again after we saw some signs early on. But what are you watching for here? What are you encouraged by? What are you discouraged by?
Well, what I'm encouraged by is the way that they're playing and the way that they're running bases. The defense has been an uptick, turning a ton of double plays this weekend. And again, it's against the level of your competition. When these St. Louis Cardinals, who are, basement dwellers themselves, they're hitting into double plays a ton and not running it out or, hustling out of the box nearly the way that they should. Playing the game the right way is so important because it sets a tone and it shows that you haven't given up on your manager. You haven't given up on the fact that, you've been relegated to a team of all the pieces that got sold off or to contenders. And, what does that make you guys? So while they're 7 back and they're no worse for the wear from where they were just at the deadline, right? There was somewhere at 6.5 back then when these got all sold off. So you're right there still. Amazingly, somehow, even when you were losing all these games, that's what happens with baseball, right? Everybody else was losing these games. And so everything stayed the same. You had a chance, though. Say if you got that hot streak and you won 6 in a row while everybody lost 6. You jumped 6 places. I'm not saying you jumped 6 places on every team, but you jumped 6 places. And now all of a sudden, you're not the team at the bottom continuing to try and chase up. You're somewhere in the middle of the pack, or you might be at the top of the pack. And you can smell an opportunity there to really kick it into another gear. And if you had the pieces left to do that, wow, what could be? That was my concern always, was that I felt like they pulled the plug too soon. Mm-hmm. I felt like, with all the resources that they had, you have the monetary backing of the ownership group. So as a GM, you sat back and you said, Fangraphs is telling us that we have X number percentage. Well, Seattle Mariners had a way worse percentage going into it. How the Seattle Mariners looking right now? Amazing, right? They've kicked it into another gear. J-Rod is 18 hits in 5 games. Something, yeah.
He's 18 like hits 17 for his last 20 or some ridiculous number.
Yeah, and no, and that whole and they sold off one of their core bullpen pieces in Paul Sewald, ex-Met. And yet they found a way to turn it around. And this is what happens in baseball. And especially when you have a group of players where there's a good mix of veterans and youth, and you saw Verlander was, turned the corner in his last 9 starts. Scherzer was tired of sucking, I would hope, but it just seemed like there was that one game in there where he would just give up a bunch. I just felt like they could still, make a run. Everybody is not going to play perfect baseball. No, you're not catching the Braves. That's not even in your head. So I think having that out of your head and knowing that, everybody else is probably going to come back to the pack a little bit. Miami did big time. And the Phillies were, they've been just staying afloat with floaties the whole time. And you know that you play well against the Phillies as it is. So I just felt like they pulled the plug too soon. Having said that, am I excited about the Ortegas, the Arauz, however you say his name? Yeah, Arauz, Ortegas, the fact that you're moving Brandon Nimmo, who was having almost like a Gold Glove caliber season at center, to left. I'm not understanding that. Isn't he the
best? And the fact that Francisco Alvarez plays like once a week now. Like what? I mean, I feel like Alvarez in the lineup. It's like, yay, he's in the lineup.
Alvarez is being relegated to that, old veteran guy that needs, weeks off. I don't get that either. This is a kid that you're trying to see if he can get to 30 home runs. I think there's a lot of things that are still positives, but at the same time, I don't know what they're looking for, because none of these pieces that are playing, DJ Stewart's of the world, are in my plans for the future, right? We talked about this last year when you were building a team and we were in the offseason and we're like, oh my God, they signed this guy, they signed that guy, they signed this guy. And they even tried to sign, which was a godsend that they didn't sign Correa. But you tried to sign Correa to solidify the last piece that, was a sure thing. There's nothing in baseball that's ever for sure. Nothing at all. I look at the poor Angels. They went all in, right? Because they wanted to prove to Ohtani that we can be a contender. Mike Trout is coming back this weekend. We'll see him at Citi Field. But they fell back majorly in the wild card race because they lost 7 in a row. So not everything happens, or it's for a lack of trying to make it happen. They felt that was the best thing. Everybody knew in baseball that the best thing would have been for them to trade Shohei Ohtani to a contender and get back a ton. And then if you're going to sign him back and you have the resources to sign him back, now your team is going to be that much better. But they didn't have the balls to do it. And you can't blame them, because you don't want Shohei Ohtani to possibly, do some kind of record or MVP type season, and he's going to finish out the season in somebody else's uniform. You want to say that we had Shohei Ohtani for the 5 years. He was tremendous for us, and we would love for him to stay with us forever. But you just showed him another losing season. And that was something that he keeps saying he wants to be with a team that's going to win and contend.
And you respect what they did, because listen, they went for a spot, didn't work. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I mean, the Dominic Leone trade, it's still bizarre. I mean, the Mets getting a solid prospect for Dominic Leone is hilarious, but we'll get to see it front and center. It'll be the last really crowded weekend of the season. We expect, a large portion of Flushing is of Asian descent. So there's going to be a lot of Asian people in the building. There'll be a lot of, fans of just Ohtani, fans of the game. You'll probably see some Yankee fans who like Ohtani. You'll see just baseball fans who like Ohtani coming. And I'm not sure how it lines up yet. Check for us, Hearth, before we, go to Todd Frazier, if he's going to pitch. I thought there's a chance he pitches Sunday, but
they were hoping I remember they were hoping for a rain out to try and see if he would be able to pitch. There was something going on.
Well, we were hoping for a rain out Friday so we could host on Pix 11. Actually, I'm doing the rain dance. There's a 50% chance of rain, at least on my just regular old weather app. So it looks like there is. So you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
But I'll be the backup. I'm Lenny Harris. I'll be the GOAT pinch hitter. But yeah, hopefully for rain. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Ohtani here in New York City, in Queens. That's going to be fun. I'm sure he'll hit a couple dingers. Hopefully he plays all three. That'll be a tease if he sits out a game. It's like, you're DH, bro. Let him play every day. He is putting the team on his back. So we went from maybe seeing Carlos Correa in September to seeing Carlos Cortez. That's another one of the Mets prospects who might get a chance here in September. Like we said, Vasil. We'll probably see Mauricio. If we don't see, I don't know what the hell's going on. So that's what to look forward to. It's Mets Braves in Atlanta this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday pod. Thursday is an off day. And then the Angels come to town Friday through Sunday. Figure will be back Monday. And so that's the vibes of Mets land. 7 games back. We'll see after the Braves series. Are they 10 out? Are they 5 out? Are they still 7? Are they 8? It's been an inconsistent wild card race, whether that's the Cubs, the Marlins, the Reds, the D-backs. They've been all over the place. So we'll see how the wild card plays out. Well,
they won that one. So just to talk about the Braves real quick. So they won that last game, right? But like I said before, I think the Braves were just tired of circling the bases from the night before, the doubleheader before.
Ohtani will miss the series, Hart says. He's pitching Wednesday, so we will not get Ohtani pitching this weekend.
Yeah. So now you talk about the Brave series, and 3 games, just make it respectable. Let's not get another 21-3 occurrence. I don't.
Danny Mendick better not pitch in this series.
Listen, Danny Mendick it's hard watching him play in any series. Still, he played some good defense as of recently, but get Beatty back up here. Get Mauricio up here. Start moving in that direction if you want to, and give them a full September where they can show what they can do. Again,
and it won't be fair to the fans if Mendick and Ortega and these guys are playing when there's these young guys, because there's no excuse. What is the roster expansion? I thought it only goes to 27 guys. Isn't it not a huge expansion anymore?
They don't go to 40 anymore. They don't go. It's not the whole.
What's the exact number? Do you know? Hearts is on duty.
I think
the exact number?
I have to say I think it goes to only 30. Because I remember they were just complaining about having these 10 extra guys sitting around doing nothing and getting paid.
28 players, That's more, no less. Teams can carry maximum of 14 pitchers. So I guess you can have 14 pitchers, 14 hitters seems to be the number. So yeah, Figgy, we need to see that here, and we need to see the Mets not embarrassed, and we need to see in 11 days those guys come up. Interview there with Todd Frazier, the Todd father. I always wonder, because everyone's like, Todd from Tom's River. At some point he's just got to get sick of it, but I'd imagine he has his own day. I think there's got to be a Todd Frazier day in Tom's River. The accent's great, and now coaching, good story, just all around broadcasting. He is everywhere to be found, and you can't beat that little Jersey accent, I guess.
No, well, that's the thing, right? It's funny because when you were growing up and being from Brooklyn, you had to get rid of your accent as much as possible if you wanted to do anything in kind of acting, TV, whatever, because you don't want to ask questions and things like that. So you hear Todd speak, and he's his authentic self, and he goes out there and he's very relatable, and you're like, oh man, I could have a beer with that guy, and you probably could, other than at the Little League World Series, but he's doing a great job. And it's always fun when you first get in to doing things like that and you get more comfortable. And like I said, I've seen him several times, and he's definitely still the same old Todd Frazier.
And we did see Todd at Mulcahy's, I think it was last year, maybe, or I saw him. I don't know if you weren't there at the QBC back then, and still looks good. Unlike me in this football jersey, which is getting tighter by the second after coconut shrimp at Yankee Stadium in the suite. With a Prime Video on Sunday.
Elitist.
Red Sox sweet.
Elitist Jake.
That is elitist. Again. That guy tweeted me. I remember it was JMY9595. And he tweeted like a screenshot of his thoughts about, I don't remember the thoughts about, he actually was positive. He was like, oh, I liked what Billy did, but like, it looked like a Apple review. I'm like, does this guy just screenshot his Apple reviews?
Probably.
Something about the Mets. I'm like, Jimmy 9595 is at it again. And he does follow me. So you can't block people now. And Elon's new Twitter is like, blocks are gone. So RIP to the block button, and RIP to the show, episode 173 of Amazing But True, our Mets podcast from the New York Post.
Thanks to Andrew Hartz, and of course, Jake, thanks to you for producing the show. Subscribe to Amazing But True on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube page to watch all episodes. Find that Amazing But True playlist. Give us a thumbs up below on YouTube and comment your thoughts. What are you watching for the rest of this Mets season? What are you watching for? Or who are you watching? I should even say, because what are you watching for sounds defeated. Follow us on Twitter at Amazing But True, at FiggyNY, and at Jake Brown Radio.
We're watching for a playoff spot. Just imagine, like, starting in center field, wild card, game 1. Center fielder, Rafael Ortega. The first 10,000 fans will receive Ortega sauce. Starting at third base.
Yeah.
He has something that many men have. Not everyone does.
Oh, here we go.
Mendick.
So I really said this. I said the curse of being a Met fan is that after this, U-turn of direction of we thought this team was going. Now you're going to rebuild the farm system, and now you'll finish 2.5 games out of a wild card. And man, what a difference those Hall of Fame pitchers would have made.
Oh, the pain. And you got to realize a lot of these moves were made because there's dysfunction in the clubhouse, and that's what it is. Verlander, Scherzer gone. We'll see in the coming months what comes out.
What dysfunction are you talking about? When was the last time you stepped foot in the clubhouse?
That'll close this episode. It's not true. What I'm saying to those people who do say that, though, I will say this. Players don't act like they don't act out when the media is around. So you don't need to really step foot in the clubhouse to know things, because when John Heyman, Joel Sherman, they're walking around, you're not going to have players like, I hate you, or like guys like, you're not going to see bad chemistry when media is around. It's when that doesn't happen. It's off the field. It's behind the scenes. It's on the bus. You're not going on the planes. It's not going to be in the clubhouse when the media is there. So that argument is actually flawed.
Who's in the bus? Who's in the clubhouse? Who's behind the scenes? Who?
You'll find out one day.
I'll find out one day. See, that's the problem. And I've said this for years and years and years, is that when you have to write a story and you don't have to name your sources and you're going on some, intuition, you've seen it happening for a few days, something's brewing over, you might report about it. You might say, hey, what do you think? Did you see that? Oh, yeah, I saw that. Oh, some unnamed Met said they saw the two guys have been arguing for several days, whatever. That's neither here nor there. You have to understand, when you're with a guy for 180 days, not including spring training, you get sick of each other. You do. There are times where you got to get away. Especially when everybody's struggling, there's nobody that's having a good time. There's nobody with a smile on their face. And if the guy has a smile on their face, you want to punch it off because we're losing and you're smiling. It's great you're having a good year. We're all sucking behind you, and we're not winning. The goal is to win. Everybody's happy when you're winning. Even the worst guy on the team is happy when they're winning. So when the team is losing and the team is disgruntled, you know what? Good. That means you give a damn. If you don't give a damn, then you're just collecting a check and you will show up every day, and you're used to doing that. I was never that way. And I think, I played for some organizations. The Pittsburgh Pirates come right to mind. They celebrated being the lovable losers. They had a Charlie Brown bobblehead day because they lost 10 straight years of not finishing over 500. They celebrated it. So that when you come to the park with those kind of expectations of, I'm just trying to find my way in the big leagues and hopefully get out of here. But that's not where the Mets are at. And so when you're struggling mightily and the team sucks and everything is, depending on who you are in the chain of command, it's on your shoulders when you're the two Hall of Fame players, or you're the first baseman of the foundation first baseman, or you're the shortstop who signed to a 10-year deal. Yeah, it's hard to walk around with your head up high and be all cheery when everybody else is miserable because nobody else is holding their weight. So I think that's one of the things that can be misconstrued, or you have to find a way to get along with people. It's just like when you have brothers, you don't love them every day. You don't like them every day, but you love them at the end of the day.
The 2023 Mets were not a band of brothers. Let us know in the comments what the commercial that was. That was "Want to Get Away." I forget what commercial.
Southwest.
Was it Southwest?
Southwest.
Yeah, Southwest. Yeah. More of American Airlines. Speaking of traveling, not really speaking of traveling, but roommate situation. The update on the roomie saga is that I have someone applying today. I've learned today that the rent is going up $60 each, which I didn't even know. She was like, as per the lease renewal I sent you on May 31st.
Yeah,
that was
pay attention,
ago.
Jake.
You think I read that email in May?
Pay attention, Jake.
So the rent's going up, and we have an applicant today, hopefully putting the application in, a fellow Baldy, and you'll support this, but I won't, an Android user. So the green text, I had to go to WhatsApp to give him the video chat tour. So a little extra step, had to add him as a contact. It was,
miserable. It was miserable.
Yeah. So maybe he'll come on the show once he moves on. We'll have, listen, there's not going to be much else to watch for this Mets season. Let's pick on the roommate and see who he is and find him out. We'll place him right here next to me. That'll do it for us. We've talked here long enough. We'll be back Thursday after the Mets series against the Braves. I'll be back. Figgy will be back Monday after Ohtani weekend.
That's
at Citi Field. Figgy, the Mets did take 3 out of 4 and, aren't completely out of the playoff race just yet. So we'll close it in 3-2.
Little pulse.
With a little pulse. With a let's go
Mets.
Nice. There we go. We'll fill in the blank. SOS. Peace.
Later.